Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's presentation, brought to you by Projectric, where we deliver project portfolio management simplified. Today, we're going to talk about project portfolio reporting, and we'll spend most of the presentation in Projectric itself. A picture's worth 1,000 words, so we'll walk through the pieces there. But just to give you a sense of what we'll take a look at today, the wonderful thing with the project portfolio management solution is the ability to gather so much data and information throughout the entire process. So we can analyze things in the beginning of the project portfolio management process, the active process, all the way through to the end, and do some hindsight analysis. So I wanted to divide it into two concepts. One is the big picture. The fact that we have this top-down portfolio view, organizational view of all the different things we're doing to achieve our strategic goals. And so that is can be broken down into things such as metrics for the portfolio. A typical report is budget versus actuals. How much did we spend? How much did we actually spend? How much did we anticipate that these projects would deliver? How much did they actually deliver? And on the beginning side, things like risk reward across the entire portfolio. However, much of this data is gathered from the project level. So we do have good insight into individual projects. So we also have the ability to drill in or look at various aspects of the details around an individual project. So things like tasks and milestones, issues that may come up for an individual project, and how those might impact the portfolio as a whole, on-time performance of specific projects, et cetera. So there's some big picture things we'll look at, some detail things, and we will jump right in. So with that, I wanted to show you project portfolio reporting in Projectric. So we will switch over to the application. And we will go ahead and get started. So typically start every presentation of Projectric with this view because it's just such a good top-down view of what the portfolio consists of. A series of projects and initiatives, everything from requests that have just come in through the project intake process all the way through to completed initiatives that have been archived and everywhere along the way. So this is one of the first charts. I want to start back in the projects tab and we'll jump back there in a second, but just to give you a sense of, again, some of the top-down view. For today's presentation, we have a sample portfolio with 370 projects in it. Again, your organization may only have 3. Projectric works for organizations large and small, projects simple and complex, and organizations with many things that they're managing or just a few. So to jump into some of the views that we have, the first is within the projects themselves. We've gone through other presentations where we've walked through project intake, tracking, prioritization, project management, resource management. I encourage you to look at those. For this one, I just want to focus on some of the quick dashboards and reports that are available when you're in some of the particular pieces of the Projectric solution. So I'm logged in as Jackie Allen, project manager, but I can quickly look at, depending on my security level, top initiatives. What are some things coming through the pipeline process that we may be able to move forward? So this just takes a large list of projects and narrows it down to those that are a particular life cycle stage, and I can isolate things such as their score, whether they've been tagged as a top initiative regardless of or in addition to their score. Some quick level views of things like complexity, who's a project manager, when is it supposed to start, when is it due, etc. So some quick views in here. Active health, just a quick view of the active projects we have, your typical RAG report, the project name, any dependencies or relationships it has, and then just a quick view, red, yellow, green, completely configurable. They're set out of the box, but you can certainly adjust the sensitivity of each of these metrics. But quite simply, M for milestone, have we been meeting milestones? B for budget, how are we with spending dollars? I for issues, are there any issues that we need to take a look at? H for hours, how are we with respect to hours left in the plan? And an overall OX project manager's qualitative assessment of how this project is going. Additionally, for ease of use, because some folks might only have access to the projects tab, we can hang some additional reports off of here that have been pre-built. We'll jump into the reporting a little bit later, but if I wanted to take a quick look of projects by score and skill, I can make that report available here where somebody could just quickly see the project name and then some specific pieces of data we want to look at. What was the score and how do we summarize our overall business risks and technical risks and maybe look at the forecasted revenue from that report. And there's others in here as well. Jumping over to the plan tab, again, just some details around our plans. These reports are typically used in the day-to-day management of the portfolio. We'll look at some of the bigger picture reports in a moment. But again, in addition to managing out plans, we have a couple of tabs, just some simple views into the portfolio. Every upcoming task or milestone, so what items are coming due, broken out by M or T, milestone or task, the name, just some quick color codes as to whether we're going to meet it or not, whether they're late. I've got some older data in here, so these are all set accordingly. Percent completed, who's responsible, and the title of the project with the task associated, and we can isolate this by tasks and milestones just by clicking. And because I'm logged in as Jackie Allen, project manager, I have some specific tasks and milestones assigned to me. So if I click on tasks, I can see them here. If I click on milestones, I can see where I'm responsible or what projects I might be associated with and isolate these views down to just me. Issues. Projectric has a very powerful issue tracking system which allows you to go in, identify issues, their potential impact on the project, and we can aggregate these and look at their potential impact on the portfolio, and some due dates and notification processes, owners, follow-up dates, etc. So this is all visualized here, and it has the concept of notifications attached to this. So not only can somebody log in and look at issues, but when an issue is assigned, when it's updated, when it's closed, email notifications can go out to key stakeholders, so they're not always having to check a tab like this. And then again, any particular report we want to make available, just a simple plans report we could create. Again, just some sample data here, but just to show you that you can create project plan specific reports, make them available here. Project specific reports, make them available on the other tab. The last thing that we have, we've gone through this in some detail in the resource management presentation, but just a quick view of utilization. Now this is more than just a report because it also has the ability to manage resources and reassign them, but a quick top-down view shown by percent of their potential hours utilized, or you could change this to hours. So just toggle back and forth. And you could view it monthly or weekly, and it's simply a view of every resource in your roster that you can assign to a project in various capacities, and a roll-up of the different items that they may be working on. And you can include both active projects and anything that's a potential project in your pipeline, just to get a sense of how that may impact their utilization moving forward. So a quick roll-up, and you can easily group this by and filter it by specific departments that the rosters are in, a particular role. You can pull up the projects themselves. So again, a report pre-built that you can come in, and again, you can click on individual roles and reassign them. Again, color coding, red, black, and green are all set out of the box to match up with utilization percentages and can be easily customized to a particular organization. So let's get into the end reporting itself. Again, so much data are gathered throughout the process that we've gone ahead and put some pre-built charts in here that allow you to answer a lot of questions, but also offer up some very simple customization and modification that you can impart. So very quickly, the project workflow. Projectric has a very good project organization and tracking system that ships out of the box. So we put projects in different lifecycle buckets and then allow you to move them throughout those buckets and gather information along the way as it corresponds to your process. So a quick view of how many projects we have in each bucket. The ring on the outside are some of the particular statuses that we're in. So within the pipeline, some projects have been scored, some not, etc. All the charts come with a detailed list below that you can customize in terms of how many items you're going to show at any one time on the screen, how many overall items are in there, and then some details in here about the particular project, which you can always bring up. So that's the lifecycle piece. The next three tabs are specifically around projects. How good are we at initiating projects, meeting key milestones along the way, and delivering projects? So kicking them off with their respective date. Projects initiated, so you can see estimated versus actual start date. And we can take a look at maybe every project that has been completed and archived in the last 12 months. Take a look at it. This gives a bit of a richer data set. We can quickly see how many we've delivered early, 6, on time, and then some predefined buckets, 1 to 30, 31 to 60, and 90 days plus late. And we can see the individual projects, project manager, the variance between the actual date and the start date right there. So you can come in and run these out of the box, query for specific pieces, and get the view that you want. All the charts come with the ability to download or print into a pixel perfect view of these initiatives. Milestones, again, a similar report, but how are we with hitting milestones along the way? And again, what we can do is go in to the milestone report and go ahead and query for it and pull up maybe a richer data set than you see here, which could be, again, maybe projects that are active, right? And maybe the ones that we completed. So how are we with meeting current milestones and how are we with the ones we completed? And again, it gives a data set. And we could say, for example, drop out the on time. So there's some interactivity to this within the legend. Let's just look at early and late. And are we more often early or late? Looks like we're a bit more late than we are early. We have some work to do. Delivery is getting to the end. How are we with that? And again, a similar process. We can go in and look at every completed and archived project. How did we do? Did we meet the needs? And again, looking at some of these things in here with the list of the items below. Health is similar to the RAG report with a bar chart, and this is more of a portfolio view, where the other had more of an individual bottom-up report view back in the plan tasks piece and project health piece. This is more of a top-down aggregate. We have 25 projects. How are we overall for milestones? We meet them more often than not, but you can see we have 6 items where we've been missing milestones. Budget, 22 are on. We don't have issues with most of our projects. However, a few we do. We have 4 with issues, and then again, 10 without, etc. So similar view with the RAG report details down below, and then the overall prioritization of these initiatives. Again, all of this is set throughout the project lifecycle process. Risk, as we get into scoring, this is a chart that can help you look and assess the risk of various initiatives in the pipeline. So this will go ahead and plot out all of the projects. The numbers here correspond to the data points below. And then lets you impart some additional data in here, such as, let me look at projects across all these different business objectives. So if I run it once, you can see here are the different project groupings that we have, and I'll show you where this data comes from in a moment. And then maybe to help give a little bit more visualization, let me look at the complexity of the initiatives by changing the size of the radius or the diameter of the bubble and just giving me a view, again, on a risk reward piece, which ships out of the box with Projectric and also allows you to simply update it. Metrics. So one of the things that we can do is come in here and take a look at actual versus forecast data. So this is typically done at the end of the process when the project has been rolled out and we've gathered enough data. And so we can go in and run some various things. So we'll take a look in here. If I look at the completed and archived projects, for example, maybe that Jackie Allen worked on, and find them, I can take a look at the budget versus actual data by project cost, maybe new revenue, however I want to do it. I can run them in here and again, print these and look at them and see the details below. So forecast versus actuals. Gantt chart, obviously typical Gantt chart. I've got some older and newer data in here, so it throws off the scale a bit, but there's a Gantt chart for the entire portfolio, and you can run this for any individual project that you would like. To looking at rollout dates, complete dates of all the various milestones and tasks. Again, typical Gantt chart capability, but it's in here at the portfolio level. Circles. So before I jump into circles, I want to show, I think, a very powerful feature of the Projectric solution. That is, if I go to an individual project and bring it up, there's a tab in here called tags. And this allows your organization to come in and set up a set of metadata values, groups of values. So you could create a group called business objective and then assign the various values that you would look for and come in and just quickly point and click and assign these tags to a project. So it gives a much richer data set to report on. There's lots of data in here around metrics and time and the other project management type data elements, but this data makes these projects and these numbers and the results much more accessible to a broader set of stakeholders and users of the system. So you could set up as many or as few tags and circles, as we call them, as you would like. And where this comes into play is if we go into the various charts. I showed it on the risk side with the ability to plot out, projects by business objective, by business unit, et cetera. But if we go to the circles tab, again, a quick view of how many reports are we looking at by business objective? We have 25 active projects. what is our overall goal? What's the business objective of these projects? Kind of rolling them up that way. Which business unit, which location, where are we doing these initiatives? So these all become graphable, sortable items within Projectric that allow you to answer lots of different questions that maybe just individual project management data wouldn't answer on its own. Completely customizable, very simple to use. So these are some out-of-the-box charts and reports. Again, you've got the ability to go in and query and sub-select your various projects if you only want to see certain slices of data in the system. They're available here for every user. They can be printed or they can be downloaded. The reporting piece gives you a really unlimited flexibility in terms of coming up with any combination of display and data filtering that you would like. These produce tabular outputs, so we can come in and query for projects and find individual projects that meet certain criteria. And you can see all the results and things that you can filter on in here. This is all the data that we've captured throughout the PPM process. You can look at projects and some plan details. You can read all these, the phases of a plan, a roster result, rosters by load, track issues and create issue-based reports, look at documents, identify resources, and go ahead and report on timesheets, which you can put into Projectric as well. So I'll give you one example of how we can create a report, how we can save it, and how we can make it available. So if we want to go ahead and look at completed and archived projects by Jackie Allen, we can go ahead and find them. And before we display them, what we will bring up is the complete list of fields available by project. And if you were to run the same report in plans, you would have a list of plan-specific fields. So we can look at the project title. We can look at the project manager, who we know is Jackie Allen. We can look, therefore, at the who submitted it. We can look at the business objective. And we can just pick one more date in here. We can look at when it was created as a request. And then there's two options. There's display and there's editable display. So display simply creates the report and runs it in a system view like this, where we can click on the project title, who submitted it, the overall business objective, and the date it was submitted as a request. We can go back, if we go to edit, and we can maybe rerun this report, find those records again, and maybe we determine business objective is kind of too long in here, so let's go ahead and just run it with business urgency. If we go to editable display, this will put a view on the screen, as you'll see in a moment, that is a little more clickable, sortable in the screen itself. And so this gives you the ability to quickly sort through these, filter, etc. This is almost like a live Excel view of the data right here. And you can always export these to Excel. If I click export, we'll get the data. You can open it and it will go into whichever version of Excel you have. So here it is. And again, if we simply click on these columns, off we go. So you have the ability to export, and then you can have an editable view or a static view. Now, if we save this, and we'll call this a business urgency. What you can now do with Projectric is save this report for pulling up later without having to configure it, who wrote it, and then do you want to make it a system report or just available to me? And do you want to make it published on the projects or plans tab, depending on what the data is? In this case, it would be on the projects tab. And we can just say view projects and their BU business urgency. So if we now save this, we have two options. We can now come back into the reports tab and we can bring this project up a bit later. So if we go to open, we'll see a series of reports that we can pull up, system in mind. And if we go back to the projects piece, we can now see it in the dropdown. So this is a quick view of the project portfolio reporting capabilities inside of Projectric. There are lots more options, but just a high-level overview of the reporting options. Again, we're capturing a lot of different kinds of data. We're adding to it and enriching it with the ability to assign metadata to various projects. And again, big picture, we can come up with various metrics, on time versus late, risk reward. We can look at budget actuals, and we can get into the details, look at tasks and milestones for individual projects, what issues are coming up for a particular project. And we can look overall at on-time performance in terms of, are we kicking projects off on the right time? Are we meeting milestones along the way? Are we finishing them at the right time? And getting a good view of the portfolio and how we're doing. So with that, that's the end of the presentation. I encourage you to look at the other pieces that we have out there, an overview of project portfolio management with Projectric, how to do project prioritization, resource management, and project management. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. info@projectric.com. Visit us at projectric.com. And thank you very much.